In today's episode, we look forward to a probing discussion with someone who works at ISSA. This conversation will gain an insider's perspective on how consulting, training, and professionalism are reshaping the way organizations think about clean and facility solutions and the systems and processes, and don't forget the people who make it happen. And to do this, I'm pleased to welcome a good friend and colleague, David Swindle from California. How are you doing, David?
I'm good. Nice to be here with you today, Jeff.
We were together recently on a trip, and I discovered David doesn't get the typical California weather that we all see in the news. So,
No, we because I'm up in Sacramento, California, we get a lot more rain, and this year we got a lot of fog. So the month of December felt like we hadn't seen the sun in quite some time. Now, honestly, I can't complain right now. It is sunny, it's a little chilly, but I will never complain for my partners across the country who deal with all the snow and ice. So we're good today.
no matter the season, we can always talk about the weather. But let's talk about you, David. Tell us about yourself, your family, a little personal information that you'd like to share.
I have been married 11 years. My wife, Simona, and I are busy with our family. We have three children, all of which are grown. Our youngest graduated high school this past year. She's 18 years old. And then we have a 23-year-old son and a 25-year-old daughter. And so it's a blended family, but yeah, it's very enjoyable. We enjoy spending a lot of time together in activities. I would say traveling. Most of our traveling is done in state. My wife doesn't like to fly, but we recently went out to Disneyland for a family vacation this past year, which was very enjoyable.
Yeah, I was born in California, so I spent my time at Disneyland as well. You know, that's the smaller version of Disney World, I guess you could say. It's interesting. You said you travel with in state because your wife doesn't like to fly. What are you going to do about that?
So it has been a work in progress. It is quite funny because we she has got it on her list that this is one of those fears she wants to overcome. And we've talked about different ways to do that. And obviously, with me traveling, doing some consulting projects, going to the trade shows and different events, I'd love to have her with me. And we have agreed that this year it is on her list. She is going to go with me to 1 to 2 events. So, one of which is the most appealing to her is New Orleans. So we are working with a client out in New Orleans, and so we're hoping that this May she'll be out there with me. And if not, we are going to be at the trade show in Las Vegas. She will make that trip, and I told her we're flying to Vegas. This is what we have to do. This is the way to get there.
So that'll be a very short trip, and I guess that's where I'm going to meet her because ISSA show, we're all going to be there. So
Absolutely,
we're,
yeah.
we're going to trust your convincing efforts there, David. Get her on an airplane. There's
I'll tell
many
her
places to see.
we've got the whole team. We got to meet the team, so you're
That's
going to
right.
have to be there.
Well, David, what was your first job starting out in business? And then I want to know what you did right before ISSA. Talk about that.
Okay, let me hit on both of those. My first job in the working world, I had 1 month of working fast food. That was all I needed. I was done with it. I was a teenager. My mom had done housekeeping and I knew the cleaning business. So I was in high school and I went to our career center and told him, I said, do you have anything else? This is not for me. He goes, I happen to have something doing janitorial work. Would you be okay with that? I'm like, bring it on. So my first actual real full time position started out part time and eventually was full time. Was as a janitor working in a vending machine company. So, and my job right before coming to ISSA, I'd been working with UC Davis. I was the training coordinator there for a few years. Great team to work with. I was helping them as they were building their training programs, working with the ISSA content, as well as getting them through SIM certification. And along those lines, supporting it, I was a consultant doing a lot of training and workshops for ISSA. So it was a natural transition for me to come on board full time.
So you went from fast food to cleaning industry from then on.
Yes, yeah, crazy. I have, funny enough, one of our manufacturer reps. I've known him for a long time. I saw him at one of our trade shows here a couple of years ago. He says, "Dave, you have worked all over the cleaning industry." He had worked for basically two companies, a manufacturer and then a rep firm, and he now is part owner of that rep firm. He says, "You've worked everywhere. I have worked for the being a janitor, worked a lot of years in distribution. I worked for a family company in Modesto, California, as a distributor sales rep for them for a number of years, sales manager. Eventually, I went to work for a couple of different chemical manufacturers. And after about 25 or so years on the sales side of the business, I found that I hated sales, which is funny because I actually enjoy working with people, but I wanted the challenge and love the challenge of the training aspect of it. And that's really where I started to make that transition in about the 2015, 2018 time period, started moving along those lines.
Took you 25 years to learn you didn't like sales. I don't know if that's a slow learner or you're just persistent. Maybe let's go with persistent. That's what you are, Dave.
Persistent. I don't give up, and I had heard a story when I was younger about a gentleman who worked at a cheese factory. And 30 years later, when he got out of that role, they asked him, "Well, do you enjoy your time working and making cheese?" He says, "No, not at all." But it was the job he had. And so he did it. But we take care of our families. And the reality, this industry has really treated me and my family very well.
Mhm.
We enjoy being able to make a good living doing this, but at the same time, I like cleaning. So I've enjoyed all the different aspects of it over my career.
Before we get into the business side at ISSA and what you do there, you mentioned worked at a fast food restaurant. So I have to ask, what's your favorite food? Is it a fried cheeseburger from McDonald's or what?
No, actually, I worked for Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Oh, that's not
To
bad.
this day, I do like chicken still. I love fried chicken. Um, and their biscuits are still one of my favorite biscuits. So I will say I do enjoy it. I didn't have any horror stories of working there. But I did learn that mashed potatoes were not made from real mashed potatoes. It was all instant.
I am not shocked to hear that one bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like their coleslaw myself at
Okay.
KFC.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
fried chicken. I could be a vegetarian if it wasn't for fried chicken.
yeah, same here. Well, actually, no, I hate vegetables, but that's a whole
Oh,
other story.
okay, we know your favorite food, the food you hate, vegetables. I mean, that's sad, but eat your vegetables, David. They keep you
Thank you,
strong,
Jeff.
keep you healthy.
Yep. Appreciate that.
Yeah. So let's talk about this. ISSA, you're doing what you enjoy. You're in the consulting work.
Yeah.
But how did you get here? What was
Funny story. When I left sales, and I'll share this funny story. The one of the last companies I worked for in sales, the vice president of the company brought me in one day and he says, "Dave, you know, you're good. You take care of our customers. We really appreciate it." He goes, "You'll never be our top salesperson." I says, "Okay, why is that?" He says, "You want to help everybody. You're constantly trying to be a consultant and just help them solve problems. We just need you to get it sold and move on." That was the clue that I needed to move on. So that led me to the idea of I wanted to be more consultative in what I was doing. Spent a few years working for a manufacturer where I got to do that. But it came to the point in 2018 that it was clear for me that my passion was in training. Every time we held a workshop, my family would say, "You come alive. You absolutely love this." So I made the decision to move into training. And that led me to working with Elk Grove Unified School District. There was an opportunity that started part time to do training for their custodial department and building out programs. I think I had been there about 3, 4 months. It was before the pandemic began. And this was by now 2019. The director who I was working under came to me and said, "By the way, ISSA has this train the trainer program. Would you be interested in going to it at the trade show? Sign me up. I'm ready. So I went to the program, went through the course with Brent and Sarah and one of the other trainers who was working for ISSA at the time. Loved it, went back, fully implemented the program, and really that began the relationship with ISSA. And as we got through the pandemic, I think it was by 2021 is when I started working closer with the team, became a SIMS assessor, started doing training workshops for ISSA as an independent consultant. And that's just how the journey began.
So the defining moment was when someone said, "You're not going to be good at sales." I mean, that
Yeah,
sounds,
that was it. That
but
was it. I
but
do
there
it
was
at that
some,
point.
but there was something you were good at, and that's where you went. So
Yeah.
I like to hear that. That's a good story. David, I want to know, what does ISSA Consulting actually consult about? Can you talk about the challenges that you help companies, organizations overcome? Because those watching may have some of those and may want to talk to you.
For us, it's about helping them to be able to work smarter. We think in terms of three things: people, process, and the proof. It's built a little bit off of SIMS, our cleaning industry management standard, where we help them to make sure, are they developing their people? Do they have training programs? What are their processes like? And ultimately, what's their proof? Do they have a good quality assurance program? So we use that as a fundamental when we look at consulting, being able to help an organization to identify their strengths and weaknesses in those areas, and how can we help them along those lines, whether it is partnering with one of the software companies out there, or helping them to workload a project, or even just building out their training programs.
I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
And if you can't answer it, we'll just delete this. But can you recall a consulting engagement where you did something for an organization or a company? It made you think, this is why I do what I do.
Absolutely. There's one that stands out the most, and it's a fairly new one. We're working with a community college in, unless hopefully I say the name right, Chalmette, Louisiana, which is just outside of New Orleans, in St. Bernard Parish. They work with neurodivergent high school students, and the community college has partnered with the high school to create a training program. And they reached out to us and said, we'd like to put them through a custodial program. What can you do to help us? We literally got to help them build the entire program, from developing the trainer, the content, having to modify the curriculum in such a way that we could deliver the curriculum, maintain the standard, but at the same time help these young people to develop some skills that they can go out into the workforce. So they're in their first semester. It has been an amazing experience. There is 12 students in Chalmette that are absolutely totally engaged in the program. And that is a huge part of, when you see that, you're just like, yeah, I'm glad I'm doing what I do. Love this.
So, building on that, the input you're getting, that feedback, that the feelings you get doing what you do and knowing you're valued, that probably isn't always the case. What are some common misconceptions that some may have about training and certification? Because, some might just say, I'm just doing the job and it's getting done, but there's
Yeah.
more to it. What
Yep.
would some of those be like?
I think one of the big misconceptions is this idea that training is, it's not needed. They don't have enough time for training. So, when I started in the industry, it was that way. It was, here's your supply closet, go clean, because everybody knows how to clean, right? I mean, you know how to clean, Jeff. Go clean. And you're expected to do this job without any clear direction. And so that misconception that we don't have to invest into training, that's a huge misconception. And I think we're seeing more and more of our partners, the building service contractors in the industry, that are embracing that. And we're in a good place where it's starting to grow. But right now, the other misconception along that line is regarding employee development, that this is just a job. What we're seeing is that this is more than just a job. This is an opportunity for people to have a career. And in some cases, when we get to engage a lot of times with custodians, they tell us, I do this job because I love what I do for the college or the school, but also it provides a good living for my family. I have benefits. They're happy doing what they do. In other cases, they want to see an opportunity for them to grow. And as an industry, this is an area we've kind of lagged behind on, is providing really career development. And I think that's where it's an exciting time, because as an association, we're starting to support how do we develop career pathways? How do we develop opportunities for people? So being able to work with, individuals in our team, John Nordiff, who is our Director of Legislative Affairs, he's helping with our apprenticeship program, with Katrina Brown in our operations, really has been exciting because I could see the direction, which is a very positive direction we're going as an association.
So for those still with us, David, some might be going, you know what, this all sounds good. Where do I start? I have this company or this organization, maybe a school or a healthcare facility. What do they do to take advantage of your department?
The easiest thing, reach out. We are offering the ability just to do an engagement conversation. No commitment. Let's sit down and have a conversation. They could reach out to us, and from there, understand a little bit about their operations. Typically, we like to get on site with customers after we understand, and we do something called a discovery assessment, where we really dig deeper and help them to see, this is where you're at. Here's some of the strengths, but here's also some things they can do to help improve their organization. And then what can ISSA do to help them as well? So we provide a roadmap for them.
Sounds pretty simple and effective.
Keep it easy.
If you were to pick one piece of advice to offer anyone in the industry, big, broad question there, but what would you tell them that they could do?
I think the biggest part that I would tell everybody in the industry is keep in mind why we do what we do. We support communities, and it doesn't matter where we're at in the overall association, whether it's our manufacturer or distributor partners, our building service contractors, our in-house teams. Everybody is here because we're supporting communities to keep them healthy and clean. And if we keep that in mind in why we do our jobs, I think that in itself is the best advice I can give to anybody, is keep in mind why you do what you do. And at the end of the day, as team members in our association, we keep that focus of, we're here to support our members and create healthier, cleaner environments. So
I like that. So I'm out of questions, David, but I have one final one for you. It's a deep thinking stumper. Okay, you ready?
all right, go for it.
When you get your wife on that airplane to New Orleans or to ISSA show, after all that, and she's ready to go flying, what's your dream vacation? Where are you going to go?
Oh boy.
And
All
don't
right.
say another work trip.
So I love and really want to go explore some of the islands. And that would be for me, is going on a trip to one of the islands. Um, Either that or doing something with being able to help others, where we do maybe an international trip along those lines. But yeah, I think for her though, honestly, because she put all the work in, it's probably going to have to be something like going into Europe. I'm sure Paris is on her bucket list of a place she would like to go. I know it is, in fact. So,
Okay, here's the deal. You know it. You said it. She will watch this. You're going to
right?
Paris. You're going to Paris.
Yep, I have to see it.
All right,
I might
David, good
have to keep it
conversation.
for her in mind too. Honey, look, we just told everybody we're going to Paris.
But we didn't say when, so you got time to work this out. Yeah.
Perfect.
Well,
Great
David,
stuff.
good talking with you today. Thank you for this, and keep up the good work with ISSA Consulting.
Appreciate it. Glad to be here.